The silence of Sendar 6 was absolute. Thick fog clung to the rocky cliffs, and the twin suns filtered through the ash-grey sky in fractured beams. Moss the color of dried blood covered most of the terrain, and the wind sang through narrow valleys like a mourning spirit. Amidst this solemn landscape stood a lonely outpost, a rusted, forgotten structure of steel and stone, half buried in time and sand. Inside it lived one man. Elias Vale had been alone for 20 years. Once, he had been a brilliant xenobiologist, sent to Sendar 6 to study its unique ecosystem. But the war had broken out, communications were lost, and his ship had been destroyed in orbit during the retreat. Resupply never came. Rescue never arrived. And eventually, the universe forgot him. He was 39 when he was stranded. Now, he was 59, weathered, lean, with deep scars both visible and hidden. His days were spent maintaining the generators, cataloging moss growths, and talking to a computer that hadn't responded in a decade. At night, he dreamed of Earth, the smell of rain, the taste of chocolate, the sound of laughter. But mostly, he dreamed of a woman's touch. The warmth of another soul. That was why, when the airlock hissed open and a shadow stepped inside, Elias thought he was hallucinating. She stood tall and alien, her skin a luminous silver green, eyes large and amber, hair flowing like strands of liquid metal. No armor. No weapon. Just a strange expression on her face, a mix of fear, pain, and something ancient. Elias stood from his makeshift bed, heart racing. "You're real." She blinked. "Yes." Her voice was musical, the accent unfamiliar but understandable through his translator implant. He took a cautious step forward, unsure whether to reach for a medkit or a weapon. She showed no aggression, only exhaustion. "I am called Sura," she said, sinking slowly to her knees. Elias rushed to her side, instinct taking over. "You're injured." "No. Just tired. I traveled far." He helped her to the bed. Her skin was cool to the touch, almost like mist against his calloused hands. Up close, she looked delicate but not fragile, her frame thin, bones subtly luminous beneath the surface. Not human, clearly, but not threatening. She slept for nearly a full day. When she awoke, Elias had made broth from synth meat and boiled moss. She accepted it with grace. "You're the first living being I've seen in 2 decades, Elias said, sitting across from her. "Why are you here?" She tilted her head. "I was seeking you." Elias stared. "Me?" "You radiate sorrow," she said simply, like it was a scent. "My kind hears it across the stars." He didn't know what to say. Part of him still believed this was some breakdown of his psyche. A long-delayed hallucination from 2 decades of isolation. But she was still there the next day. And the day after. Sura helped him repair broken circuits, spoke of constellations he didn't recognize, and asked questions that sounded like riddles. In return, Elias told her stories, about Earth, about humanity, about how silence can eat you alive when you have no one to hear your voice. They were an odd pair, the forgotten man and the alien woman who glowed faintly in the dark. Weeks passed. One evening, as the dusk winds howled across the outpost, Elias and Sura stood atop the observation tower. Twin moons rose above them. The silence, for once, felt comfortable. "I don't understand you," Elias said, quietly. "You just appeared. After all this time, why now?" Sura turned toward him, eyes shimmering. "Because now you were ready." "For what?" She stepped closer. To be seen again. To be known. To feel. Her hand touched his chest. The contact was gentle, but electric. Elias shuddered, not from fear, but from a longing he'd forgotten he carried. He hesitated, searching her face for intent. She wasn't manipulating him. She wasn't lying. She had nothing to gain here. That made it all the more terrifying. I don't remember how to be with someone, he admitted. Then let us remember together. That night, she gave herself to him, not just her body, but something deeper. In her kind, physical union was a sacred exchange. Not mere pleasure, but memory, emotion, essence. As they lay entwined in the warmth of each other's presence, Elias saw flashes of her world. Crystalline cities in orbit around blue stars, forests that sang when walked upon, oceans that whispered secrets to the moon. She saw his pain, his longing, his strength in solitude, his refusal to surrender hope, even after the universe turned silent. When morning came, neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Elias said, "I don't want to lose you." "You won't," Sura said, smiling. "But I can't stay." His heart twisted. "Why?" "My presence here disturbs the balance. I came to awaken you, Elias. Not to bind you." He stood abruptly, pacing. "So this is it. You show up, make me feel alive again, and then vanish into the stars." Sura walked to him, took his hand. "You are not meant to die here. Your place is not this tomb of silence. You're ready now. And I came to bring you back." "Back where?" "Where life awaits." That evening, she led him to the far side of the canyon, an area he'd never explored due to unstable terrain. There, hidden behind a cloak of refracted light, was her ship. Sleek, organic, alive. Elias stood frozen. The idea of leaving Sendar 6 after 2 decades was surreal. Sura placed a hand on the ship. It responded with a soft hum. "Come with me," she said. He stared back toward the outpost, the only home he'd known for 20 years. Its familiar shape looked smaller now. Distant. Like a memory trying to hold on to relevance. Elias exhaled. And stepped aboard. The stars outside the viewport were unfamiliar, but he wasn't afraid. Sura sat beside him in the cockpit, her hand in his. "You're different," she whispered. "You've always been more than a forgotten man." "I was waiting," he said, his voice steady, "for someone to remind me." They didn't speak after that. The silence, once a curse, had become something sacred, shared between them like breath. As the ship slipped into warp, the planet vanished behind them, swallowed by distance and time. Sendar 6 would remain what it always was, a place of stillness. But for Elias, the silence had finally broken. And in its place bloomed something he never expected again. Hope.